This is a deposition with the Doge people, like the lower level scumbags who went in and just started cutting grants for whatever they wanted. This is Justin Fox, who is being deposed right now in a massive lawsuit, and they're basically ripping the entire thing open and discovering all of the crimes and everything that they committed. And this dude is, in my opinion, going to be charged criminally, and it's not going to take long. I think by the time Trump is out of office, every one of these people is going to have to flee to Argentina, or they're going to spend the rest of their lives in prison, in my opinion. But let's give this a listen. This is number 4 of 7. I'm just kind of skipping around. Let's see what he has to say here. Hold on.
Time now is 2 p.m. This begins Media 4 on the record.
Hi, Justin. So before the break, we were talking about DEI. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Was screening grants, projects, etc., a directive for DEI, a directive that came from Doge?
No, from the executive order.
Okay.
Okay. The executive order was basically the guideline for what Doge was supposed to do, and Doge was instructing these people what to do. Are you fucking kidding me with this?
And did you apply that same? Did you apply those executive orders to several agencies during your time with the government?
Yes.
Okay. Which other agencies did you apply them to?
Every agency that we went to.
Okay. And that's the EO about DEI and the EO about gender ideology?
And the EO about initiating a Doge lead and finding optimization savings.
Optimization savings, please.
Great. But those two were included in
the scope of what we were focused on.
Got it. Who told you to apply those executive orders to your work at grants, or at agencies?
The executive orders themselves require that every agency adhere to them, and we were there to help the agency leads implement EOs. That was just the protocol for the small agencies team.
Okay. Who told you that part of your role would be helping to implement those EOs at the various agencies?
Nate?
Nate is his boss in this whole thing, the Doge boss. It's Nate Kavanaugh, and he was deposed 5 days earlier. And they were basically comparing Justin Fox, this guy's statements, against Nate Kavanaugh's statements. And they found that this guy was lying out his ass through the entire thing, basically. He's pinning it on everybody above him. He's pinning it on Nate. He's pinning it on Trump. When in reality, he went in and he, like a bull in a china shop, just erased in everything that he saw that he didn't like.
Anyone else?
The leadership team, Josh, Stephen Hickian, Anthony Armstrong.
Okay. Did those people know that you were detailed to NEH?
Yes.
Okay. Did you tell them that? I can strike that. How would they have known that you were detailed to NEH?
We were focused on all of the small agencies. We probably had, the 100 agencies that we were detailed into.
Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, Doge lost so much money, it's ridiculous for the government. They claimed to have saved $160 billion, but it was at most probably closer to $2.3 billion at absolute best. However, they cut 33% of the IRS audit force or whatever, which lost $330 billion in tax revenue. We make 7 times the amount that we spend when we fund the IRS. So if we put $1 million into funding the IRS, we get $7 million back in tax revenue that otherwise would have been missing. And they cut 33% of the workforce, or somewhere in that vicinity. So Doge didn't save money. They actually lost money, like a lot of fucking money.
So as you went through, strike that. You testified earlier about the fact that you reviewed grants yourself to mark for termination. Is that right?
That's not right.
To explain.
He did actually say that he reviewed grants for termination. He said that just in the previous part. In the scheme of things, this started after lunch. Part 3, which we watched earlier, was immediately before lunch. So he said that about 30 minutes ago, or maybe an hour ago.
We mark our interpretation of grants and whether or not we think it adheres, and that's we as in Nate and I, and we present that back to the agency leads, who ultimately make the final decision.
But what were you marking?
This is a lie, by the way. Just a reminder, I would really appreciate it if you guys checked out my Patreon. If you're not going to donate, you don't have to, but follow me there at the very least. owenmorgan.com/Patreon. Just in case something happens with the government or whatever. It would be really good if you had some way to connect with me and my content. I'm really concerned about that. And maybe you should consider that for other creators too.
Compliance with the EOs being relating to DEI or wasteful spending. In the context that we were just talking about, the team had focused on all of the DEI, and we were consolidating the list of the DEI grants that were flagged and reporting that back to Adam and Mike.
Okay.
We weren't terminating grants on the spot.
He was, actually.
Right, yeah, I didn't mean to suggest that if that's what...
He was going through the list of grants and just hitting the fucking delete key.
You understood. What I was asking was, let me break it into its several parts. You were reviewing grants, is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. And you were reviewing grants for DEI, gender ideology, wasteful spending, etc., right?
Yes.
Okay. But including those three specifically, right? Plus others, but those three explicitly you were using to assess or analyze the grants. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. And was it your understanding while you were doing that, that the grants that you marked yes for under those concepts would be teed up for later termination?
Objection.
Subject to Adam and Mike's input. We read through...
Blaming everybody but himself. I was just a piece of the puzzle. I wasn't the main actor. I didn't delete anything. This is all a lie. We all know this to be a straight up bald-faced fucking lie. He was deleting grants like mad.
Through all of them and explained what we felt.
By the way, most of the people who were fired by Doge, quote unquote fired, were brought back like a few months later after Doge disbanded with back pay and everything. They didn't save practically any money. A lot of the grants they deleted, that stuck. But the people that they fired and some of the agencies that they closed didn't, that didn't stick. They had to continue paying these people anyway after lawsuits played out. They stole a disgusting amount of money from us, from me and from you.
Hence the column for Mike McDonald, Adam Wolfson to tag as keep.
Right.
McDonald and Adam Wolfson were the head of the NEH, the grant organization that made these decisions, that funded these organizations or whatever, basically.
Right. I guess I'm not. We'll get
procedurally.
Yeah, right. We'll get there. That's not exactly the question I'm asking. Was it your impression at the time of marking those grants that was somewhere on the pipeline towards termination of those grants? Did you assess them with the sense that these are grants that if I say yes, DEI, it would be moving that grant closer to eventual termination?
Objection. Form.
The answer is yes, and he already answered this previously, but he keeps wanting to beat around the bush and not just admit what he did.
Yes.
Okay. So as you were going through the grants, and again, you noted that you did private review of grants for DEI and wasteful spending, right?
Yes.
Objection.
As you were doing that, what informed your understanding of whether a grant had DEI?
Can you define DEI? In the previous part, he couldn't. They'd said, can you define DEI? And he could not define DEI. They're asking him this again. In a minute, you're going to hear him explain why he deleted information from the database about the Holocaust. And his answer is basically because it had something to do with women cultural studies.
We applied the same definitions that were listed in the EOs that we read through and overlaid that into the context of what was the mission of this grant, what are the outcomes, why was this awarded. We applied that to every grant.
When you say we, who are you talking about?
Nate, me, and what I would assume the rest of the NEH team who was making a comprehensive review to align with the executive orders.
So if you were looking at a specific grant Your starting point for analyzing that grant is, does this comply or not comply with this set of EOs? Is that fair to say?
Does this present, the way that we framed it was, does this potentially conflict with the EOs?
Okay.
If it did, Mike and Adam, this is what we think, why it conflicts. What do you think?
And earlier he said that actually he was just going through these grants that the government, sends to companies and deleting shit. And Mike and Adam, the head of NEH, the grant organization, were doing a parallel review alongside his to make sure that, they agreed with it, basically. I just created a new website, firesidewatch.com. You can watch videos with friends, and everybody can play or pause the video. I made it so I could collaborate with other YouTubers, but I figured I might as well make it available to everybody. On top of that, you can add videos to the queue, upvote them, and sort by most upvoted. Give it a look, firesidewatch.com. And while you're at it, check out my Patreon, owenmorgan.com/Patreon. You can follow me there for free.
So, yeah, it is.
Okay. And as you were assessing whether or not it conflicts, can you explain kind of your mental impression? Like, strike that. Maybe I can ask, where were you doing this work, first of all, physically?
GSA, the GSA building.
At your desk at the GSA building?
Yes.
Okay. And so maybe, and I know this sounds boring, but maybe walk me through what an afternoon of reviewing grants would look like for you at GSA.
Objection.
Interesting that they're completely ignoring the objections. I've never seen that happen in a deposition before. I'm not a lawyer. I don't understand how it works, I guess, but it's just very odd.
The list that I'd consolidated from Mike's team has details from EGMS and Brett Bobley and team on each grant. Read all the details about this grant and overlay the EO's mission and what we're trying to find on top of this grant.
Okay. Do you think it's fair to say that after looking at hundreds of these, you had synthesized some sort of kind of easier way to assess whether a grant conflicted with an EO?
Obviously, that's true, right? Obviously, he just started looking for words like gender or I don't know, gay or something. We know that because they deleted shit like information about the Enola Gay, the plane that flew the atomic bomb to Japan. They just deleted a bunch of shit like that.
Didn't require you to go to the EO every time and read the whole thing?
There's definitely patterns that you can recognize. Grants that...
Like a board of people should be reviewing this. If this were really going to happen, it should have been a board of people going through these grants and talking to each of the grant holders and stuff and figuring out what value it had and if it actually applied. He was just reading through the grants and deleting shit all willy-nilly.
Are two different grantees that are accomplishing the same mission. You read every one, and yes, after the 6th or 7th, 100th one, you do start to develop pattern recognition of how each grant is infringing or not on the EOs.
Did you read every one?
Yes.
What were some patterns that you noticed?
Promoting an LGBTQ study.
Promoting an LGBT study? Are you fucking kidding me? You were deleting grants if they were studying anything to do with the LGBT community? Like, you don't see how that could be valuable? Again, this shouldn't be done by a single individual or even like a few individuals going through all of these grants. It should be a board reviewing every single decision, at best.
Stipending research.
This is also money that was apportioned by Congress. Congress chose to fund most of this shit. The executive branch had no place going in here and doing this.
On gender fluidity.
Why is, in your view, is LGBTQ DEI?
This is based on the EO discussing underrepresented minority groups.
So just delete anything to do with minority groups then, right? Is what he's saying here?
Of which LGBTQ is often associated with.
So, I guess in synthesizing, and strike that, part of your synthesis of the EOs was that LGBTQ stuck out as obviously contrary to the spirit of those EOs. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Objection.
Not entirely.
Okay.
What a piece of shit, dude. I hope that this dude, like, this is usually how it works in transitional justice systems. Transitional justice is the modern term for denazification. When a dictatorship falls to democracy again, which is absolutely going to happen sooner rather than later in the United States, because we have a strong history of democracy in the US, of respecting democracy. When that happens, you get a transitional justice system and 3 levels of people who pay the price for what they did. You've got the arch criminals, people like Elon Musk, Donald Trump, Kristi Noem, whoever. And then you have the second level of criminals, which go through what's called lustration. That's these people right here. You vet these people, you vet everything that they did, you dig up everything, and you put it all on record, and you charge them with crimes and usually send them to prison for the rest of their lives. And the third level of criminal, or I guess arguably criminal, are just the normal people like the MAGA supporters who helped in this process, who contributed money or time or volunteered or whatever. And they are subjected to truth commissions, which dig up everything that these people did and they name and shame them and put their faces on posters all over town so everybody knows exactly who it is. This guy, the arch criminals in our situation may not go to prison, but this guy will be subjected to lustration and is in that category of criminal who will pay the price for what he did. He's not important enough to the arch criminals to protect. The arch criminals are going to be worried about themselves. So everything that this guy is saying right now is going to absolutely fucking bury him sooner rather than later. Just wait and see. I promise that's what's going to happen to this piece of shit.
Obviously contrary to the spirit of those EOs. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Objection.
Not entirely.
Okay. Why do you say not entirely?
Do you have a specific grant in mind?
We'll come to that, but I want to get your understanding of what you're doing day to day and reviewing these grants.
This dude has such a punchable face.
And you were asking what again? Specifically about LGBTQ relationship to DEI?
Yeah. Is it fair to say that in applying this synthesized understanding of the EOs, LGBTQ grants jumped out as being contrary to the nature of the EOs?
Objection.
Objection over fucking what? What are you objecting to?
Contrary to the nature, meaning conflicting with.
Conflicting with, yes.
Did you not know what that fucking word meant until just now?
Potentially.
Okay.
Ultimately, not my call.
Okay. What else?
Not my call, he says. Not my fucking call. Brother, you were the one hitting the fucking delete button on these grants. He says he was just following orders. That's his defense. I was just following orders. What a fucking joke, dude. You think that can protect you? It can't.
What else did you think was DEI? Anything besides LGBTQ?
There's an answer here.
Gender ideology.
Gender ideology. They're about to bring it up and point out that he deleted some stuff about the Holocaust. And they try to get him to explain this. It's glorious. We're getting to that point.
Race, cultural, or underrepresented cultures.
And just to be clear, marking something for DEI was a precursor to cancellation.
Objection.
What is the objection?
It informs Mike and Adam to make a decision.
Oh, bullshit. He was the one deleting this shit, and everybody knows that. He admitted it earlier.
But you understood your marking of a grant as DEI to be a precursor on the road to potential cancellation. Is that fair to say?
Being in conflict with an EO, potentially.
Okay. And one of those EOs was about DEI.
Reducing spend on DEI grants.
Right, okay. And so you said race, underrepresented groups. Why would you suggest that grants about those issues be terminated?
I didn't suggest they be terminated.
Come on, dude. Really? Well, what did you think you were doing? You think you were promoting these grants, mark them DEI, so that they can get more funding? Did you think that's what was going to happen when you marked them? Please.
I only tagged their relationship to DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion.
You had no clue what was going to happen after that, right?
With the understanding that you marking that would serve as a precursor, a signal to cancel those grants, right?
Objection.
Signal to review those grants.
On the road
Review for fucking what? Review for what? For deletion.
to termination, right?
Objection.
If that's what they wanted to do, yes.
Well, I'm a little confused. Your goal with Doge was to save money, right? Reduce the deficit and apply these EOs on the road to those goals, right?
Objection.
What a slippery scumbag.
To assist agency heads with being in compliance with the EOs. Part of the EOs were to find savings through reduction in spend.
Right.
Which we now know, of course, that Doge cost substantially more money than it saved, like by a wide margin. They cut the IRS task force by 33%, which cost $330 billion or something like that. And Doge itself cost something like $200 billion. And they claim that they saved $110 billion, when in reality, they only saved like $12 billion or something at most. I looked these numbers up earlier. They're in a previous part if you want to see them. But the point is, they saved almost nothing. And what they did save was reversed by the deletions that they did. Because spending money generates money, especially when it comes to the IRS.
Right. Okay. And so part of, we discussed this, hours ago. Part of your work was to help to identify grants for termination, right? I'm not saying you terminated them. I just want to be clear that we're kind of collating these things. I'm not saying them all at once. Part of your job was to identify grants for potential termination. Is that fair to say?
He can't even say that. Are you kidding me right now?
For the review of Mike and Adam to comply with the
Bro, he is desperate to pawn this off on somebody else. He knows how absolutely f***ed he is.
reviewed that this grant was not in compliance with the EO. Ultimately, it's their decision to cancel it. And we were helping them review these grants in the context of adherence to the EO.
In the context of the grants potentially being terminated.
Relating to DEI.
Relating to DEI.
That's what we give to them, is the grants that are not in compliance with the EO's mandate, ultimately their decision to terminate.
Okay. And so you said not in compliance with the EO's mandate. So, earlier you noted that things that jumped out to you were LGBTQ plus issues, oppressed minorities, race, etc. Is that fair to say?
He already said yes.
Those stood out to me as relating to DEI.
Okay. So would you, just applying one, let's take LGBTQ, was it whether the author was identified as LGBTQ?
It was completely arbitrary at the end of the day. And yes, in some cases it was the author. In some cases it was the description of the study. I mean, it was just whatever they felt like that day.
Was it whether the grant mission was about LGBTQ? What were you assessing?
Objection.
There's a grant description, and we were assessing if that had related to DEI.
Okay. LGBTQ being one form of DEI that you've explicitly stated in the deposition, right?
A form of it.
Okay. Race being another one.
Wasteful spending being another one.
Sure, yeah. But race is another one too, right?
No, wasteful spending is not one, quote unquote, of those things. You're deleting things to reduce wasteful spending, and the things that you're deleting that you view as wasteful spending is anything related to the LGBT community, up to and including information on the Enola Gay, the plane that flew the atomic bomb to Japan. I mean, how fucking stupid is that, really?
Objection.
However the EO had stated it
Okay.
was how we interpreted it.
Okay. But you've already noted that you were synthesizing and not referring to the EO every time you looked at a new grant. Is that fair to say?
Well, that's not about whether it's fair to say. That's literally what he said. Yeah, literally Control F, gay. That's pretty much what it was. Seriously, that's 100% fucking real.
That's fair to say.
Let's go to tab 7. I think this will be exhibit 8. Small, can you... it's kind of small. Can you see the text from where you're sitting?
Could you scroll up?
Wait, I'm not sure why they're scrolling up. Why do you, he asked a simple question. Can you see the text?
Oh, he can hear through the. Okay, that's helpful. Thanks.
Wait, what document is this?
This is US-000045132. So I'll represent that this is the attachment that was referenced in Exhibit 7 in that email from you to Mr. McDonald and Mr. Wolfson that we reviewed before the break.
Mr. McDonald and Mr. Wolfson are the heads of the NEH. McDonald was a Trump appointee, basically, and they were all trying to delete anything DEI related from government grants.
Which one was that? Which email?
The one that said, had the grants section bullet, and it said, we reviewed all active grants for DEI involvement and marked them accordingly. Remember that?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the document that was attached to that email. And if you scroll down a little bit, Jacob, or sorry, I'm doing the same thing. Can you scroll down, Jacob? Thanks. Keep going. Yeah, so starting on page 3 of this document and going down through page 66, there are just, hundreds and hundreds of grants.
I think I heard something like 700 grants.
Does this appear to be the document that you would have been referencing in that email to Mr. McDonald?
And this came across in the attachment, right?
Right. Yep.
Yes.
Okay. But it looks like the type of thing that you were talking about in that email. There's sorry, can you scroll up again, Jacob? Yeah, right there's good. Yep. There's a column all the way to the left that says yes/no DEI ? Then there's the next column is division. The next one is number. The next one's award number.
Wish we could see the screen.
And then if you keep going, there's a DEI rationale. There's the MM/AW that I think we read earlier in one of the emails. Does this look like it comports with your understanding of the document that was being referenced?
For that email, yes.
Yeah, okay. Do you recognize this document?
It is one of a few that looked very similar to this.
Okay. Did you contribute to this document?
Yes.
What did you do to contribute to this document?
So I guess it's a document that lists the grants that were deleted?
At this point, I don't remember because there was a lot of back and forth between the team doing their review, Adam and Mike doing their review, and Nate and myself doing review. I don't remember which stage this was in, frankly, because documents like this were passed throughout our interactions.
Okay. Well, let's just take kind of the life of the document. How did you contribute to it over that lifespan?
Mike and Adam gave
Mike and Adam, the heads of the NEH, the grant organization.
what their team had done, reviewing every outstanding grant, tagging for DEI or not. The first thing we did was re-review the ones that had already been reviewed by the team and assessed our understanding of compliance or not with the EOs and sent that back to Adam and Mike because that's what they asked us to do.
Just following orders. I was just a cog in the machine.
Over the life cycle of this, and again, I don't know which stage we're looking at here, we passed it back and forth and identified the ones that were most aligned with the direction that NEH was choosing to go. And
This is a lie. He's claiming that he was just there to recommend things and then move on to another organization, and that's not true. He was there actually deleting grants.
in most compliance with the EOs.
Okay. You said in the direction that NEH was willing to go?
Was headed.
Was headed.
Yes.
Okay. What was your understanding of that direction?
Pro-America.
What the fuck does that mean, pro-America, in relation to government grants for studies?
Pro-America, meritocracy, mission-critical grants.
We're fucking studying things for science. How does this connect to that?
Okay.
Garden for American Heroes, elimination of wasteful spending, DEI, and adherence to the EOs.
How did you come to that understanding?
Our meetings,
With who?
Mike and Adam,
This is fucking insane, dude. I gotta grab this clip.
elimination of wasteful spending, DEI, and adherence to the EOs.
How did you come to that understanding?
Our meetings,
With who?
Mike and Adam.
And what exactly did they say about about those focuses of DEI, or excuse me, of NEH?
That they knew they needed to be in compliance with EOs and reduce the amount of DEI grants that they had and separate funds to go towards Garden for American Heroes and America 250 initiatives.
Okay.
Garden for American Heroes and America 250 initiatives.
Garden for American Heroes. Yes. Statues and garden, yeah.
Interesting.
Okay. There's a column called DEI Rationale. Do you know who would have contributed to the entries in that column?
Me and Nate.
Okay.
He's been pawning off a lot of the blame for what he did onto his boss, Nate. I'm hesitant to believe basically anything that he says Nate did rather than him.
And I think I understood you to be saying earlier that you would read the grant description and then make a judgment based on your understanding of the EOs to fill in this column. Is that a fair recounting?
Directionally, it is.
Okay.
Directionally?
Anything you want to clarify about it?
Yeah.
Sure.
Part of it is assisting Adam and Mike with their review, right? So
Oh, please. I was just a cog in the machine. It wasn't me. I wasn't making these decisions.
part of what we did was pulling in a large amount of data from different sources and putting it into something that is digestible for the team, because Adam and Mike are going to review every grant, but we need to convey our thoughts about DEI rationale.
Okay. So how did you, any of these rationales, how would you have actually gotten from the description to that DEI rationale in the column of that same name?
Using the grant description.
So you literally just read the description of a grant and decided if it said the word gay, then it was supposed to be deleted.
And applying a synthesized understanding of the EO, what the EOs called for?
Interpreting the grant description into the executive order context.
Okay. So, again, you mentioned that certain concepts you saw as being contrary or conflicting with the EOs, and you named LGBTQ, race, oppressed minorities. Do you remember that testimony?
Yes.
Objection.
Okay.
What is the objection here? I don't know why she keeps just randomly saying objection.
So, is it your view, or while you were doing this, would you say it was correct to kind of state that a project that discussed an underrepresented culture, for instance, was something that the executive orders required to be terminated?
Objection.
Required to be terminated? No.
Okay. Is the issue with the word required? I guess, why did you repeat that particular clause?
The EOs are meant to instruct how to frame the problem.
Okay.
And eliminating wasteful spending and DEI grants was the mandate.
Okay. So there's 60-something pages here, thousands of grants. Did you write all of those rationales?
Interesting. They wrote rationales for every single one of them, apparently, and we have those.
Reviewing the grant description, you can extract and highlight key texts, right? As we said, there are patterns to what is related to DEI. It's not Garden for American Heroes. It's typically involving underrepresented cultures and communities.
I mean, right now he's describing what he wanted to delete from government grants. Anything related to underrepresented communities is what he just said.
Typically involving underrepresented cultures and communities, race, LGBTQ, and that informs what's written in DEI rationale.
Okay, so you didn't write those descriptions.
We edited and wrote on top of, but they pull out the key words and phrases from.
Give it a fucking rest, dude. You seriously can't just admit that you wrote these descriptions?
Grant description.
What pulls out the keywords and phrases?
I do. Me.
There's extractors that you can layer on top of Excel.
Oh my God. Oh my God. This is where he's saying he used Chat GPT for this.
To grab the keywords, and then you can pull in how it frames in the context of the EO.
When you say, so what extractor did you use to pull out keywords from the Excel?
Well, Excel has a lot of native functions to pull out keywords. You can overlay that on top of grant descriptions.
But respectfully, I'm not asking about Excel's capabilities. I'm asking what you actually did on this spreadsheet to pull out key terms.
Objection.
He's deliberating whether he's going to admit to using Chat GPT, and I believe he does admit to that in this.
We used closed source aggregators that drew the context from the grant description into DEI verbiage that related to this grant. And then over top of what was extracted, we write in additional thoughts and clarification.
What's a closed source aggregator? Strike that. What closed source aggregator did you use to assess these grant descriptions?
Chat GPT, right?
Within Excel, you're able to put in a closed loop LLM.
LLM. He used Chat GPT. He used Chat GPT to go through this shit and find anything in these grant descriptions that had anything to do with being gay. He used Chat GPT. Holy fucking shit, dude. Notice he said closed source aggregators. He's not saying that the information was contained and didn't leave the computer. It did. He's saying we don't have the source code for Chat GPT. That's what he means when he says closed source. Not that it was secure or protected.
You're able to put in a closed loop LLM that extracts the keywords and phrases.
What LLM did you use?
OpenAI.
Chat GPT. He used fucking Chat GPT. Oh my God, dude. I gotta pull that clip. That is fucking wild. I know a lot about AI, a lot. And the reason I know a lot about it is because I was a programmer before YouTube, and I'm still a programmer. Like I still write stuff. For example, I wrote this wavemap.us. I wrote this fairly recently. It predicts who's going to win the next election, that kind of thing. I also wrote firesidewatch.com, where everyone controls the remote. You can watch videos on YouTube or whatever, and everyone can play and pause, that kind of thing. So I've been programming for many, many years. But anyway, the point is that this dude literally used an AI to decide which government grants to delete. That is insane. That is fucking insane. I cannot believe that shit.
Umbrella. It wasn't ChatGPT, but it's one of the LLMs in.
Okay. So you used an LLM to screen the grant descriptions for certain terms?
Yes.
Okay. How did you come up with that list of terms?
You don't use an LLM to screen terms. You use an LLM to analyze things. It's not like he was using ChatGPT as a search feature. He was using it to decide which grants to delete. That is insane. That is fucking insane. This is absolutely nuts. I cannot believe we are here. Here's another video from the same dude who couldn't even describe what DEI was.
Government spending, and that was the lens.
Okay. So DEI would have been one kind of guidepost for the grants to terminate?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you interpret DEI?
There was the EO explicitly laid out. The details, I don't remember it off the top of my head.
It's okay. I'm asking for your understanding of it.
Yeah. My understanding was exactly what was written in the EO.
Okay. So can you...
This is starting to make a lot more sense. I watched this previously on my unfiltered YouTube channel and thought to myself, how could he not know the definition of DEI and go in there and delete a bunch of shit based on DEI or whatever? And now it makes sense. He used Chat GPT to do it. He didn't know what DEI was because he didn't need to, because an AI was deciding which things to delete. That is fucking wild.
I don't remember what was in the EO.
So right now, do you have an understanding of what DEI is?
Yeah.
Okay. So what's your understanding as you sit here today in this deposition?
Well, it was exactly what was written in the EO. And so anytime that we would look at a grant through the lens of complying with an executive order, we would just refer back to the EO and assess if this grant had relation to it.
Okay. But I guess I'm stepping back from your methodology strictly in terminating the grants. Do you have an understanding as you sit here today of what DEI means?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, obviously, he doesn't. He has no fucking clue.
So what's your understanding of what it means?
Well, it is. exactly what was written in the EO.
Okay, so
And I don't have the EO in front of me, but we would always reference back to the EO and make sure that this grant was in compliance with.
We wouldn't, actually. Chat GPT would. Chat GPT was the thing you were using. What a colossal fucking scumbag. How many laws were violated in that process? How many ethics violations were there by using an AI to decide which grants get to stay and which go? This is one of the more disturbing parts about this whole thing to me. Doge was not randomly deleting things that they just didn't like because they were about gay people or whatever. They were having an AI make these decisions, an unguided AI make these decisions. That shit disturbs me.
The EO.
I understand that. Okay, but I'm not asking necessarily about what was in the EO. I'm asking very specifically about your present understanding of DEI. Mm-hmm. Do you have a present understanding of DEI?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you explain what that present understanding is?
Well, it is just easier for me to be referencing back to the EO.
Are you refusing to answer the question?
I'm not refusing to answer the question.
Okay.
I just feel that referencing back to the verbatim executive order was the best way for us to capture all of the DEI language. And so I think giving a high-level overview of what I could relay as DEI is not going to do justice what was written in the EO.
And that's okay.
Fact is, we're just asking for a basic description. And you know what happened as a result of them using Chat GPT to delete shit like that? It ended in them deleting stuff about Jews and the Holocaust because it related to women. They ended up deleting information about the Enola Gay, the plane that flew the atomic bomb to Japan, because it had the word gay in it. I am dead fucking serious right now. This is insane.
You can look at the EO as well.
Great.
I'm asking you this is a deposition. I'm asking you questions. You're under oath. So you're required to answer them. So what is your understanding of what DEI means?
Well, I think I would say, again, that I would go back to the EO to make sure I'm capturing enough. I don't feel comfortable saying a high-level overview because it is such a big bucket, and there's just a lot of pieces of the puzzle.
What's a part of the bucket?
Gender fluidity, sort of promoting subsets of LGBTQ plus that might.
He doesn't have Chat GPT in front of him, so he doesn't have any fucking clue. We know for a fact that they used Chat GPT to just randomly delete grants, government grants for like research and funding and things like that. What are they doing in the military with it? What are they using it for related to drones? What are they using it for on tanks? That should disturb any rational human being. I want to get to the point where he talks about the Jews. That's in this one, I believe.
The executive order has explanations of what is involving DEI.
Okay.
And you keyword search into the grant description.
ChatGPT, again, is not a keyword search. Okay, keyword search has existed since 1983. We don't need an LLM to word search things. We need it to run analyses on things. So don't try to lie about this.
To extract the keywords and phrases that match the phrases that are listed in the EO.
Okay. Why did you use OpenAI to assess these grants rather than read them one by one?
We reviewed each grant.
Obviously not.
Each grant. And for the sake of efficiency, pulled out the key phrases and layered on top our view of how this overlays with the EOs.
But it wasn't your view. It was ChatGPT's view.
Give me an example of a keyword that you would have.
LGBTQ.
Okay. And so if a grant had LGBTQ, you would, I guess the model would identify that. Mm-hmm. And then you would mark it yes for DEI?
No. We extract the phrase and the 4 to 5 words that come before or after that keyword and adjust what's written to address why this may be related, in our view, to something conflicting with an EO.
But again, it's not your view. It's ChatGPT's view.
Did Mr. McDonald know that you were using an LLM to assess the grant descriptions?
I'm not sure.
What about?
Holy shit, dude. That's fucking crazy.
Nate Kavanaugh.
What about Nate Kavanaugh, your boss?
I don't know.
Did anyone instruct you to do that?
He's thinking to himself, am I going to pawn this off onto somebody else? Can I blame somebody else for this?
No.
So you used an LLM on your own initiative to
I don't believe that for a fucking second.
screen thousands of grants for what the LLM perceived was DEI.
Objection.
No.
Okay. Why no?
We had to read the grant description and make our own assessment of whether this was related to DEI or not. The DEI rationale column is only meant to contextualize it by extracting the key phrases that came up in our keyword search, so that Mike and Adam, instead of having to go in each one and call us and say, grant 1, why did you believe this was DEI? And we were able to put in our rationale for each of these grants after having looked at grant description.
So he's saying, I only used Chat GPT a little bit, okay? It's not a big deal. Look, I'm actually pro AI, very pro AI, because it doesn't actually use that much water, certainly not compared to other things. And it's a tool like the internet. How much power and water and energy and everything else does the internet use? A lot. It uses so fucking much, but it's a tool, the internet is, and it's an incredibly valuable tool that furthers cancer research and furthers all kinds of things. It's the same with AIs. The AI furthers research and progress in so many different ways. But as a tool, it can be used for bad as well. And that's what's happening here. It was being used for bad things with little to no oversight. I have absolutely no reason to believe that this guy was giving it any oversight at all, truthfully. This is a bad use of AI, an insane fucking use of AI. I think that LLMs have their place in society and can be extremely helpful and valuable and useful and everything. And I don't think there should be a stigma against using them for things. But this is insane. This is like a step. This is 15 steps too far, truthfully. That shit is wild.
So you reviewed every grant yourself?
Yes.
Okay. And you also use an LLM?
To pull out the keywords and phrases,
Right.
so that Mike and Adam can see what we see without needing to have them call us and explain each grant. We put it into a digestible document and explain in the DEI column why we feel, based on the grant description, this could be related to DEI.
You keep saying we, but you just testified that Nate didn't know you were using an LLM, that Mike McDonald didn't know, Adam Wolfson didn't know. Who's we when you...
Objection.
He just caught him in a little trap. I love it.
Is the question whether or not they knew that I was writing a DEI rationale for each one?
Well, when you say we and then fill in whatever you did with the LLM, is there a we? Who are you working with on this particular LLM project?
Yeah. Whether Nate knew I was using an LLM or not, I'm not sure.
Okay.
That's what I said.
Complete bullshit, please.
Okay.
We were collectively pulling in DEI rationale to explain why the grant description we felt was relating to DEI.
Okay. If you had already been reviewing every grant one by one, such that you gained an understanding of it, why then run all of those grants again through a large language model like OpenAI?
Objection.
I'm not sure.
It's complete bullshit. He's obviously lying. He obviously used Chat GPT to go through all of the government grants and decide which ones they should remove solely based off of Chat GPT's decision, right? Clear as day. He's obviously lying.
You don't know? But no one told you to.
No.
Okay. Was this in an effort to increase efficiencies in the project?
To make sure that Mike and Adam knew what context we were reviewing this grant,
Right,
individual grants.
But you knew the context because you had reviewed the grants.
Yeah.
Okay, so why do you need an LLM to tell Mike or Adam that?
He obviously used the LLM, Chat GPT, to just do the work for him. He obviously just felt lazy and didn't want to do the work himself. So he just used Chat GPT to do it and is now stuck in a little corner here.
We needed Mike and Adam to understand where we were coming from, because it is their decision. And instead of calling them for each grant and explaining each grant, we pulled out a DEI rationale to explain our point of view. So that,
But it wasn't your point of view. It was Chat GPT's point of view, is the point here.
Mike and Adam could see our point of view. They have the grant description themselves. It's ultimately their judgment call, but we were helping them review. So the DEI rationale puts it into context for them.
Absolutely. I understand why you might want to communicate a DEI rationale to Mike and Adam. I don't understand why or how the involvement of OpenAI would be required to do that.
Objection.
What is the objection? She keeps saying objection over and over again with absolutely no rationale for this.
Is that a question?
Why did you use OpenAI for that purpose?
He's just dead silent. He has no explanation, no excuses, no nothing. This is fucking wild, dude.
Excel functions are limited inherently by whatever you can do in Excel with formulas. And so in order to grab the phrases that we were searching for and to put it into something that we could adjust to best contextualize it for Adam and Mike, I elected for using that.
Okay, that's called search feature. You're talking about a search function. Search functions have existed since forever. We're talking about a large language model, not a search function. Why did you use the large language model?
Okay. But I read every grant description. I could have just filled it out on my own. So
well, why didn't you then? Is the question here.
The answer is I don't know why.
I don't know. I guess it just didn't feel like it.
Okay. And I guess the model was pulling out whether or not a grant description involved DEI. Is that fair to say? Strike that. How do you know that your understanding of DEI was consistent with the model's understanding of DEI?
Objection.
What's the objection? Why does she keep fucking saying objection with no explanation whatsoever?
Because we read every grant description and adjusted DEI rationale based on our perspectives.
So the final rationales that you would have sent to Mike and Adam would be different than the rationales that were spit out by OpenAI's model.
So he's literally just backed himself into a corner where he says, we used Chat GPT to do this, but we literally didn't use Chat GPT at all in the process. Like, it gave us its opinion, and then we completely ignored that opinion. That's what he's saying right now. This is insane.
Some of them.
Okay, but not all of them.
Hard to say we made edits in every single one.
Okay. Jacob, can we go down to, it's row 880 in that number column? It's going to be far down. You might just want to drag the cursor. Yeah. There you go. Very close. There you go. All right, it's right there. So what we're looking at is row 880 of Exhibit 8, US-0000453132. This, if you could scroll down a tiny bit, or maybe scroll up actually, just so we can see that far left column in 880. Yep. So, do you remember the far left column being DEI, question mark? Yes, /
Like, the thing about AI is it uses a lot of electricity, but on a grand scale, it doesn't use anywhere near as much as a lot of other things, like car production or like the internet itself. And like it or not, AI is a revolutionary tool that is completely changing everything about how we operate in society, everything, by making things more efficient. Like, cancer research is taking massive strides right now because AI can think faster than human beings can think. It's like having an assistant that knows literally everything. And Chat GPT sucks. It's not good at all, honestly. Chat GPT is at best just conversational. But there are AI models out there that are almost supernatural in how incredibly powerful and useful they are. Like, truly incredibly powerful tools to find answers to questions that we haven't had answers to as human beings. Claude is incredibly powerful and intelligent and indistinguishable from a conscious being at this point. In fact, the founder of Claude said they can't tell if it's conscious or not. They don't know if it's conscious. ChatGPT is weak and not it's just not very good. But there are public models that are astounding. Let me give this is just one example of a field in which AI is helping move things along. Hang on, let me see if I can find an article about this. Breast Cancer Research Foundation talks about this, their website. MIT and Microsoft researchers have developed an AI model called CleaveNet that designs molecular sensors capable of detecting cancer-linked enzymes in the body. The signal could potentially be detected through a simple urine test, possibly even done at home. Similarly, AI algorithms are now analyzing mammograms and MRI scans to identify subtle patterns that human radiologists can miss or can't see at all, while digital pathology tools improve tissue-based analysis. So here's just one example of what they're referring to. Famously, in the past 6 months or so, I think, they've trained this model to look at an MRI scan or an X-ray or whatever and determine if breast cancer is present 5 years before human beings could detect it. Like before it's even visible, the AI model can see breast cancer forming. Drug discovery and protein design, the 2024 Nobel Prize for AI-based protein structure prediction kicked off a cascade. Most pharmaceutical companies are now building computational protein science labs into their drug design pipelines. AI is dramatically compressing the timelines for identifying and validating drug targets. Immunotherapy, this might be the most dramatic recent advance. This one is from Science Daily. Researchers at the Technical University of Denmark and Scripps Research Institute developed an AI platform that designs protein keys to train a patient's immune cells to attack cancer with precision, reducing development time from years to weeks. The platform includes virtual safety screenings to avoid damaging healthy tissue. If you don't see how AI could be useful, it means you probably just aren't aware of how far AI has come. Having machines that are indistinguishable from actual humans will be and is horrible for the internet. Absolutely, yes, 100%, I agree. But it's a tool that can be used for good or it can be used for bad. It's being used for bad in a lot of ways, but it's being used for good as well. And we shouldn't throw out the tool because people are using it for bad. We should find ways to regulate it. The internet is ultimately has thrown humanity into the information age and has pushed us to advance in ways that I couldn't have possibly imagined 20 years ago. The internet, not AI, but the internet. And it's caused a massive populist uprising of right-wing nationalism and extremism. There's good and there's bad. So I think AI is an incredibly valuable tool for humanity. And throwing it out or saying it's bad for the environment or whatever when it's not bad for the environment, comparable to other tools. I mean, nobody is complaining about the internet being bad for the environment, or they're certainly not saying we should take the internet down because it's bad for the environment. That's silly. So anyway, aside from all of that, I run local AI models on my computer. That's not bad for the environment. It adds at most 50 cents a month to my electric bill to just use local AI models that are on my computer. It doesn't use additional water. It doesn't use additional electricity that's even worth talking about or anything like that. And Cleave AI, as I mentioned earlier, the model that designs molecular sensors capable of detecting cancer-linked enzymes in the body, that runs on their systems. It's not it's not damaging in the way that people seem to think it is. So anyway, I'm all for AI, fully in for AI. I think it's a tool that's advancing us in the same way that the internet advanced us as humans. But using it to replace human decision-making in government is ill-advised and fucking insane, at least. And that's what this dude did.
We can go back up if you want, but...
This is just what you're saying. The far left column is yes or no DEI.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Okay. So you can see in row 880 it says yes.
Yes.
Okay. And that means that this project, in your view, did have DEI such that it conflicted with the EOs that you were applying.
Objection.
Right.
Could I read it?
Sure, yeah. Can you zoom into that? Just zoom in a bit so we can see the text larger, Jacob. Oh, okay. So It's fine.
You know, one of the other things that disturbs the shit out of me, we're basically giving all of our information to these companies who can sift through our conversations at will and learn whatever they want from it. And that's not good. Like, Chat GPT knows what you had for breakfast the day before yesterday, because I don't even use Chat GPT, but a lot of people use it for mundane things, and they're just gathering all this information. We need to regulate the shit out of these companies for that reason, if no other. But as a tool, it's incredibly valuable.
880, yep. I can read it into the record. For row 880, it says, under the DEI Rationale column, the Trotheta project aims to increase access to diverse humanities collections, which aligns with DEI goals of promoting inclusion and diverse perspectives. Did I read that correctly?
Yes, could you scroll to the right for the project description? Sorry, I'm yelling again.
I'm not sure what that has to do with the question you were asked. Why are you even looking at this exhibit? Like, it's completely irrelevant and unnecessary for the question asked.
So this is in the next column over, that's the grant description. It says, the Trotheta Humanities Infrastructure Project will allow interdisciplinary humanities programs and centers currently scattered across campus to be housed under one roof to better serve students, staff, faculty, campus, and visitors. In particular, the Alaskan Native Language Center and its archives will be showcased to increase student and public access to diverse humanities collections. Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
And then we can go back to the DEI Rationale column, Jacob. Again, it says, the Trotheta project aims to increase access to diverse humanities collections, which aligns with DEI goals of promoting inclusion and diverse perspectives. Did you write that?
I'm guessing he didn't write it. Chat GPT wrote it, and they know that.
Yes.
Did OpenAI write that?
Oh, shit.
Portions of it.
Oh, my God, dude. They fucking nailed him. He absolutely used Chat GPT to write this shit. Holy shit. Oh, dude, I've got to grab this clip, too. That is brutal.
Did OpenAI write that?
Portions of it.
Oh, my God.
Maybe.
Maybe, he says. Maybe.
So tell me why this project is DEI.
Objection.
It's promoting inclusion and diverse perspectives.
Okay. What about diverse perspectives is DEI?
It's not merit.
Well, it's in the name, diversity, right?
It's not merit-based.
Diverse perspectives is not merit-based?
There's just no reason for it to be. This is involving DEI. It is promoting through federal funding diversity, equity, and inclusion principles.
And those principles are, as you write here, promoting inclusion and diverse perspectives, right?
Scroll to the right for the Native Alaskan language. The Native Alaskan Language Center's archives showcase to increase students and public. Yeah, it is just promoting this language center and the archives.
So, literally, anything about non-white, non-Christian culture at all should be removed? Are you fucking kidding me? That is a wild thing to say. That is insane. Holy shit. Okay.
It is promoting through federal funding diversity, equity, and inclusion principles.
And those principles are, as you write here, promoting inclusion and diverse perspectives.
This is literally just a study on Alaskan natives, I think. That's all it was. And this dude is saying that this is DEI. Not because he thinks so, but because ChatGPT thinks so. That's clear as day now, right?
Right.
Scroll to the right for the Native Alaskan language. The Native Alaskan Language Center's archives showcase to increase students and public. Yeah, it is just promoting this language center and the archives.
So?
What's
For
wrong?
the sake of diversity.
What's wrong with promoting a...
It's not for the sake of diversity. This is just something that exists as a part of the history of the United States. Alaskan natives live in the United States. I don't know if you knew that. Why the fuck would we not want that in our archives, in our history, or whatever?
Language center.
Objection.
It's wasteful, non-critical spend.
But you have a DEI rationale there.
Objection.
It is DEI. Just explain why it was DEI. Because you're promoting a subset, Alaskan Native Language Center and the archives to promote diverse perspectives.
A subset of what? You said you're promoting a subset. What does that mean?
A minority group.
Okay, like Alaskan natives might be a minority group, but they're also a group from America, from the United States. They're from one of our states. How can you say that we shouldn't be learning about our history? He only wants white history told? We shouldn't have information about, like, the Inuit tribes or whatever? This is fucking wild. And of course, this was, as he said earlier, tagged by Chat GPT, not by him. So he's coming up with a post hoc rationalization for this.
Okay, so a project that promotes a minority group would be conflicting with your interpretation of the EOs.
Objection.
Is that fair to say?
It's okay. I'm not sure what the information is on this. Let me see if I can find. Okay, this is the Alaskan Language Center Exchange. Okay, we need to finish this one. This is apparently a devastating bit that we haven't finished yet. This is an Alaskan Language Center Exchange.
It's subjective.
Subjective based on what?
It's all based on the interpretation of each grant and the details of it. So
Sorry.
you can't overgeneralize a statement like that.
You can't overgeneralize, he says. Okay.
Your interpretation of the grants.
It depends on the grant.
Based on your interpretation of those grants. Is that fair to say?
Objection.
Through the lens of applying the EO's language.
Right. But you ultimately decided how you would apply the EO's language to these grant descriptions, right?
Ultimately, I made
So he's stuck deciding whether he wants to take responsibility for something really stupid and fucked up, or if he wants to admit that Chat GPT was making all of the decisions in this.
the effort to overlay the way that the EO was written.
Oh, I love it when people cough into a microphone. It's like ASMR to me. It's just like my favorite thing ever. Please cough into the microphone louder for me.
With the grant descriptions, and whether they conflicted or not is ultimately the decision for Adam and Mike.
How did you deal with edge cases? Let me take a step back. Were there ever descriptions that you said, this might be DEI, it might not? I don't really know.
No, obviously, because he wasn't even looking at it. It was all Chat GPT, right?
Or was it always clear?
It's not always clear with DEI, but the context of wasteful spending is a fairly clear
Wasteful spending as defined by Chat GPT, of course.
way to delineate.
Right.
Alaskan Native Language Studies. Just, God, dude, this whole fucking thing is insane.
Way to what?
To delineate the grants.
Would you say that spending on DEI is innately wasteful?
It depends.
When you were assessing this Alaskan language project for DEI, it was on the basis that it promoted a minority group. Is that fair?
Objection.
Is he just like repeating the question to himself over and over again silently? What is he doing?
A minority culture, minority group.
Okay. I suppose, Sarah, I guess what's a majority culture?
Oh shit.
I'm not sure.
Are you fucking kidding me? You've defined minority culture for us flawlessly this whole time, but you don't know what a majority culture is?
Okay. Well, did you ever screen anything for majority cultures?
In what context?
In any fucking context. What do you think that means?
Well, I guess, what's a minority
Objection.
in this context?
Which context?
Are you kidding me? He's got it. He can't be serious.
This grant?
Have you analyzing all of these grants for DEI or conflicts with the EOs?
That fully depends on the grants.
Okay. When you say it fully depends on the grant, is what you're saying that you would have to read the grant to determine, based on the system that you were applying, whether or not that grant was promoting DEI?
Yes.
Okay. So let's go now, Jacob, to row 252. Okay, so
I believe that this is one of the most damning moments where he talks about the Holocaust, and it's bad. Let's just see what happens here.
we're in row 252 of the same document. Can you read what's in the first column that was yes or no DEI into the record?
Yes.
It says yes in that column, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then the DEI rationale in the column of the same name says the documentary addresses gender-based violence and overlooked histories contributing to DEI by amplifying marginalized voices.
Gender-based violence.
Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
Is gender-based violence DEI?
Could I see the full grant description?
Well, sure, but I guess that's a question that has nothing to do with what's in the next column. Just like, is gender
You need to allow him to read the document.
No, it's not about the document. The question is gender-based violence DEI? Because this guy decided that it is DEI, or Chat GPT decided it for him. Gender-based violence is DEI in Chat GPT's opinion, and he accepted that opinion. That's the issue at hand here.
I'm asking him to answer.
Dude, I need to pull this too. This is fucking wild.
I guess that's a question that has nothing to do with what's in the next column. Just like, is gender-based
You need to allow him to read the document.
Well, I'm asking him to answer your question.
No, he gets to read the entire exhibit.
He doesn't have to read the entire exhibit. The question isn't even about the exhibit. It's about a single line in the exhibit, which he read. Gender-based violence title. Is gender-based violence DEI? Was the question.
How depositions work. So if he says he needs to see part of it, you need to let him see part of it.
Okay, counsel, just for the record, let me say this pretty clearly. So I'm sure you've been in cases where there are 100 or 1,000-page contracts that need to be submitted in full. I'm sure that you're not implying that every witness needs to read every page of a contract if they...
I'm saying if he asks to read something, you have to let him read it. Okay. And you're trying to prevent him from doing that.
If it relates to the question. He can't ask to read the Constitution if the question is about gender-based violence. They're unrelated.
I don't know why, but if he says to read it, let him read it.
Right. Okay. Go ahead and read it, please.
Which one was it? Jacob, sorry.
252, right there. I can read it into the record. The grant description of column or row 252 says, production of My Underground Mother, a feature-length documentary that explores the untold story of Jewish women's slave labor during the Holocaust through a daughter's search for her late mother's past.
Holy shit, dude. He deleted a documentary on Jewish Holocaust survivors and female slave labor.
A collective camp diary in which she wrote and interviews with dozens of women survivors who reveal the gender-based violence they suffered and hid from their own families. Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
Okay. And then in that row or column, you say yes, DEI. Did you write the rationale in that column?
Could you scroll over, Jacob?
Or was it Chat GPT?
Again, the rationale says, the documentary addresses gender-based violence and overlooked histories contributing to DEI by amplifying marginalized voices.
Yes.
Why is a documentary about Holocaust survivors DEI?
Objection.
Why is there an objection here? Is that not an honest question?
It's the gender-based story that's inherently discriminatory to focus on this specific...
What? It's inherently discriminatory to focus on Jewish fucking Holocaust survivors? You gotta be kidding me with this. This is insane.
group.
It's inherently discriminatory to focus on what specific group?
The gender-based, so females during the Holocaust.
And you believe that that's inherently discriminatory?
I'm just saying that's what it's focused on.
Are you fucking kidding me right now? That shit is fucking wild, dude. I cannot believe this shit.
Sure.
And this is related to DEI.
Right. But you just used the term inherently discriminatory. What did you mean by that?
It's focusing on DEI principles, gender being one of them.
So a documentary that's about women would be DEI.
Objection.
Is that fair to say?
So, yeah, what's the minority that you're flagging for DEI here? Is it the Jewish minority who suffered in the Holocaust? Is it the fact that they were women? I mean, what's the DEI aspect of this? This is wild, dude. Oh my God.
No.
Okay. So
it wasn't the woman thing. It was the Jew thing then, right?
Tell me why what I just said isn't DEI, but what you just said is DEI.
Objection.
Why does she keep saying objection? What's the objection?
It's a Jewish, specifically focused on Jewish cultures and amplifying the marginalized voices of the females in that culture. It's inherently related to DEI for
what the
those reasons.
Okay. Because it's about Jewish culture.
Plus marginalized female voices during the Holocaust, gender-based violence.
Okay. Is this when we focus on a minority? Is it your understanding that the Jewish people fall into the category of a minority?
Certainly a culture
No fucking shit. Yeah, it's a culture. We knew that, Jagoff.
that could be described as minorities.
Okay. So
Why did he hesitate on that question? I don't understand. And yeah, what was that flirty little look he just gave about what is going on right now?
you go about determining what was a minority and what wasn't a minority?
Back to this question. Previously, he was asked, what is a majority group and what is a minority? Can you define those? And he said, depends on the context. How does it fucking depend on the context? What a colossal piece of shit, dude.
For the purpose of identifying DEI and grants.
Inherently focused on any.
So we should only have documentaries about white people, is what he's saying. That's the bottom line. We should only have government grants studying white people. We should only have information about white people and Christians, and that's it. Are you fucking kidding me?
Ethnicity, culture, gender, no matter the sort of race or gender or religion or, yeah.
Okay. And you said that your understanding of the purpose of marking these grants for DEI was eventual possible termination, right?
Objection.
For Mike and Adam,
He did say that, and he keeps trying to pawn it off on somebody else. It's someone else's fault, not mine. But at the end of the day, he was the one that made these decisions. So
To make a judgment about termination.
to see how we felt this did or did not comply with DEI involvement from the perspective of the EOs.
Okay. With the ultimate goal of assessing which grants needed to be terminated, right?
Helping Adam and Mike review comprehensively the grants adherence to existing EOs that have come out.
And if they did not comply with EOs, those grants presumably would be terminated, right?
Objection.
Up to Mike and Adam.
it was not up to Mike and Adam.
Was it your understanding that the goal of this review was to understand which grants would be kept versus which grants would be terminated?
Certainly to understand where they landed in the scope of, do they adhere to the EO or do they not?
And if they didn't adhere to the EO, those are grants that would be more likely to be terminated. Is that fair to say?
That's what the EO wanted, was to find savings in the buckets that they identified. Ultimately, Adam and Mike made that call.
That's not true.
I'm not asking who made the call. I'm asking for your understanding of what would happen to grants that were marked with DEI. Was it your understanding that these grants were being isolated as grants to terminate?
He already answered this question in a previous part, and the answer was yes, they were going to be terminated.
To be compliant with the EO, yes.
Yes, to terminate in order to be compliant with the EO. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, we just needed Mike and Adam to see which grants and why.
They were not the final decision makers. Like, he lied about this through the entire thing. He made these decisions and cut these things.
Related to DEI. And as you said, ultimately the call was their judgment to make. But the intention is to find savings, redirect funds to America First Priorities, Garden for Heroes. DEI is one of the buckets we screen for, as well as wasteful spending.
Yeah. I just want to be clear. You know we're going to be talking to several others at NEH as part of this lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And other people that are members of the Doge teams that you've been discussing.
Objection.
Are you aware of that?
Well, I guess to answer your previous question, I don't know who else you're interviewing from NEH, and I don't know anybody else outside of Nate.
Okay. Do you know that we were going to talk to Mr. McDonald?
I don't know.
Okay. You don't know. We will be talking to Mr. McDonald. We'll be talking to Mr. Wolfson. We've already spoken
So all the lies that he's just told are going to be blown wide open is the point here.
with Nate, as you know. Do you think all of them would agree with your framing here that, strike that, would they think that part of this review was being done to tee grants up for termination?
Objection.
Who do you mean they?
Mr. Wolfson, Mr. Kavanaugh, Mr. McDonald.
I don't know.
Did you discuss terminating grants that were related to DEI?
Yes.
Okay. Did you discuss terminating grants because they related to DEI?
To align with the EO, yeah.
Like, why is he even pretending? I don't understand what the point of pretending that these weren't going to be terminated was.
Okay. And so when you mark, for instance, this grant about the Holocaust as DEI, was it your understanding that that would make it more likely that that grant would be terminated?
Obviously.
I'll remind you, you're under oath. I mean, and we're going to talk to others.
Objection.
Yes.
Okay. And so, based on your judgment here, you believed a grant about women during the Holocaust that were subject to gender-based violence, a documentary about that, should be shortlisted for termination at any age?
Objection.
Which one?
Are you fucking kidding me right now? Really? This dude is such a fucking weasel, honestly. Can you not, like, just answer a fucking question? A straightforward, basic question?
Grant 252, the one that we've been talking about.
We were
It's a yes or no.
presenting it
question.
to Mike and Adam.
He's desperate to pawn this off on somebody else. He was responsible for this decision.
That doesn't answer my question.
Under the context of, does this comply or does this not? And this is the rationale that we give for whether we
You mean the rationale Chat GPT gave?
believe it complied or not, or related to DEI in any capacity.
Right. But the first column is yes or no.
Yep.
Okay. So you're saying yes, it has DEI, or no, it doesn't have DEI, and that's the very first column of the spreadsheet. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And you put yes in the first column with respect to this grant about the Holocaust. Is it your understanding that grants marked yes for DEI, Mr. McDonald and Mr. Wolfson would have viewed as more likely to terminate based on DEI grounds and EO grounds?
We were helping them.
That doesn't
So it's fair to assume that they would think that.
All right, let's go to, well, actually, I think we could go off the record for a moment.
Sure.
Take a 5-minute break. Is that cool?
Yeah, it looks like that's the end. That's wild, dude. Oh my God. I cannot believe he said that shit. Tell me what you think about it in the comments. Just absolutely vile shit.